I want to show you how I'm going to use Artists Pigment Ink. I'm going to start off putting some watercolour on the paper. It's autumn gold. I don't have to put watercolour on to begin with. I could put the ink straight on, but I'm going to show you how you can create these lovely textures. So I just wanted to give it a base to go on so that you can see where it's going to go. So I kind of want this shape in the centre of the flower. This is going to give me a gorgeous base to work on. A bit more water. So the key with these Artist Pigment Ink is the fact that they need to be lovely and wet. So I'm giving it a lovely base look. That is really wet. I can't emphasize enough how important it is that you need lots of water. And I'm going to use purple. This is the color Shadow, and I'm just going to drip. Oh, a gorgeous, gorgeous drip of shadow. And then I'm going to put some midnight green as well. Oh, and then we're just going to let the ink just sit for a moment. I'm going to add some more water. I've got a little pipette here with some more water in, just a tiny bit. That can control the amount of water that goes on the paper. It's just water. This is now very wet. Now the inks are just going to sit. And I'm not really sure how they're going to mix and how they're going to flow, but I have got to give them somewhere to go. So plain water. I want them to come sort of in this direction. I'm going to get them to flow out and into the background. So just water, again. Again, I could have painted the flowers first. I could have a base of watercolour, but what I'm going to do is just show you the ink. So I'm not too worried about putting too much watercolour on to begin with. So, and it's really important that you let the inks just sit because they're actually working here. They're just settling into the paper. And then I'm going to invite them to travel this direction. So once I'm ready, and this area is lovely and wet, I'm just going to push a little bit of the water towards it and let it go. Oh my word. Flick a little bit of water on it. I do love to flick the water onto the paper as well. And oh, can you see how those inks are now separating? Oh, they're just lovely, just beautiful. So you're getting the green, the purple, and of course a little bit of the watercolour. Now we want to bring some of them this way as well. So I'm going to encourage it to come this way onto the paper. I'm going to bring this down here too. Now we don't want to churn them up with the brush. So the moment the brush gets the ink into them, you're just going to churn up the colour. So you see, you don't want to do that. You want to give them somewhere to go. So we're going to have maybe another little section here, sort of like this bit here. So I'll put, again, a little bit of, let's put some of this same autumn gold on here. And we're just going to encourage that to flow into there. So I'm going to use a little tool. I could use a little embossing tool to bring it across and say, please come this way. We're going to give you a little channel to run down. You can do branches on trees. You can do anything that requires texture, stone, any little tool. You can start to see how, you can get so much movement into a painting. Now I'm going to start to tilt the paper. So I'm going to be a little bit careful. Here it comes a little bit. Now I don't want to cover the camera, but I want to encourage it to come this way. So I'm just going to flick a little bit more water on, just water, so I don't want to get paint on this. And I just want to flick a little bit, just so that it comes this way. Water is the key. You've got to give the ink somewhere to go. Here it goes. Wonderful. So we want it to come down here. I'm going to lift this up a little. Oh, these are just lovely. And then I'm going to get my spritzer. So I've just got it, I'm lifting it up slightly. I don't want to block the camera, I hope I haven't. And I'm just going to spray. Let's give that ink a little somewhere to go into the background. Let it disperse. Oh, that is just lovely. And at this stage, if I wanted this to be a little bit more of a golden colour, I'd go back into my watercolour here and maybe flick a little bit of that autumn gold into the centre of my flower. Remember, you can create textures on anything that requires a texture. Let's bring it out here. Let's bring it out into this section here. So water is the key. You don't want to push the brush into it and churn it up, because you will end up just with a dark colour. Now, this is lovely and dark because, of course, I've used a combination of the green and the purple, and the two of them will give you this really dark colour. If I wanted to make it a little brighter, pop some blue into this. Again, we'll just let it sit and then wait for it just to settle. Bring that back. This is going to be very, very bright. So bring that water back in. We'll churn it around a little bit. And then we'll let the blue do its thing. It's very exciting. Water. And then wait again. And it will just start to separate. I'm trying to keep it on the sheet of paper for you. But you'll get this beautiful grittiness as the inks react with each other. Let's turn it around this way. That blue is just wonderful. I'm going to just push a little bit of moisture into the background to give me an edge to my picture. And then I think I'm going to just bring this maybe around here. You can see the ink starting to flow here and the texture being created. Sumptuous. Let's bring it through here. This is really, really dark. I did add a lot of ink. Push that through there. Let's bring it out here. Let's bring it out here. So it's just water. All you need with the Artists Pigment Ink is water. It's basically a watercolour. So all it needs is water. You don't need to add anything else to it. Okay, now we're going to give this somewhere to go again. So we're just going to encourage this down here. It's a lot of ink here, so we'll give it somewhere to go. Oh, this is coming this way. Tilt it this way. Oh, look at that. As soon as it touches the surface, just gorgeous. Just water. I'm just going to flick this down like this. Let's give it a lovely escape route. You can also add the inks very, very gently with a dip pen. You don't have to have so much ink, but I just wanted you to see how it separates so beautifully into all of these textures. Push this back. It is a waiting game. You have to just kind of look at it, wait, push it back up. It's luscious. The most gorgeous, gorgeous colours. So you can create dark colours by using a combination of the inks and your watercolour if you wish. But the key is you don't churn it around with your brush. Actually, I'm just going to use this again. And of course, you want to be careful not to let the ink spill. If I spilt that, it would make one heck of a mess. I would normally put the top straight back on again, but I'm keeping them open so that I can show you what's happening here. And slowly but surely you can see all of this beautiful separation. You see it's all gritty. And we just have to wait. Unfortunately, it is a waiting game. You can see all the grittiness. It's gorgeous. Just give it somewhere to go here. I'll create some nice edges here. So I can, if I'm happy with this, I can then put, let's bring some texture into here. So this is going to look like foliage, background foliage. And I'm just going to soften that a little. And again, give that somewhere to go. All this lovely, lovely texture. So I'd paint the yellow, once this is dry, I can paint the yellow on the top, or I could have the yellow as my base. Do you know, I don't want to mop that up. You can mop it up. You can dab it a little bit, mop it up. But I quite like to just let it create its textures, look. And let it do its own thing. So I leave that, let that dry. If you think it's pooling and you've put maybe too much liquid on, you can get your tissue and you can just gently lift it into the tissue. I'm going to leave that a little while just to settle. But these pigment inks are just beautiful. They're artist quality. They're made from exactly the same pigments as the watercolour paints. So we've got Midnight Blue, which is it's this beautiful striking blue, Shadow, and Midnight Green. Those are the only three that are available at the moment. I really don't feel you need any more than that. They automatically separate and give you these wonderful effects, whether you're doing trees, foliage, stonework, anything like that. Absolutely marvellous.